and welcome to another Hayley-Roxanna crafts video. In today's video we are going to look at the last stitch that I have used in the castle hanging decoration that we've been working on, and that's French knots. Now I'll be honest, French knots are not my favourite kind of stitch, but sometimes they are necessary just to add a little bit of detail to the work that we're doing. So let's start by me showing you how I show a French knot on my chart. So this is how French knots are shown on my charts. It's shown the same on the black and white charts and the colour charts. The colour used to show the French knot is usually the same colour as the thread that will be used to complete it, but there are times when it has to be different just to make it easier to see it on the chart. So now let's show you how to actually do a French knot. I have got my Ada material and I have got some pink thread in the needle ready to go. I am using 2 strands today, but the number of strands that you use for doing French knots can vary chart to chart. The more strands that you use, the thicker the knot will be. So let's show you how to do them. Okay, so to start your French knot, you need to come up through the hole where you want the knot. Sometimes this is actually where the hole is, but sometimes it can come through the middle of a square or even between the holes, depending on where the French knot's needed. Okay, so it's like so. You pull it through, you then twist the thread around your needle just a couple of times, and then you need to go back down. Some people will go straight back through the same hole. I prefer to try and do it just slightly above, so you've got just a little bit of the material between where you've come up and where you go down, and then holding the thread tight on this side, just gently pull all the way back through. Don't pull too hard at the end, and then you should get a little knot like that. Okay, I'll show you one more time. So you come up where you want the knot, like so, round, wrap that thread round your needle. Couple of times I usually do. You can do more, you can do less. It does just change how the knot comes out. It can make it bigger or smaller, and then I just try and go down just to the side of where I've come up, pull it through, and there you have a knot. So let's now have a look at the French knots on our castle hanging decoration, which, as you can see, I've completed all of the back stitching on, as well as the crosses, full crosses and partial crosses. French knots I would advise you to leave as the last thing, as usually they sit on top of the work, so it's easier to do them last rather than trying to get any back stitching or crosses behind where you're putting your French knot. So on the chart, the French knots are just at the top of the flagpoles. So like I said, they're just being used to add that extra detail, just to finish off the flagpoles nicely. So if we look on the back, we can see on the front there's sort of a grey colour. So if we look on the back, the matching colour, the grey, is here, which is DMC 648. And I have threaded up my needle with that cotton so that it's ready to go. On my chart on the key, it tells you how many knots there are to do in that colour, but there was no way of actually saying how many strands to use. However, I do think that the number of strands you use for French knots is partly personal choice. It depends on how big you want your knot or how small. As a guide, I would say look at the back stitching in the same area that your French knot's going to be. So in this case, the back stitching in the same colour was all in 2 strands. So I will be using 2 strands to do my French knot here. But if I just show you this picture of the Christmas bauble hanging decoration, the French knot on here is just on the dot of the eye. And here I only used one strand to do the French knot because it was with back stitching that was all done in one strand. So I felt that the one strand made the knot big enough to go with what was there. Okay, so let's do these French knots. So like I said, they're at the top of the flagpole. So if we bring in the cross stitch, and we just need to go through the hole right at the top of that flagpole, and just there, pull that through carefully. That's it. And then we wrap your thread around the needle twice. Okay, this is where you have to be careful you don't go and pull it straight back off like I've just done. Let me try that again. It's a little bit awkward trying to do it on camera to hold it in shot and hold it up, because normally I'd just sit the material down on my lap while I'm stitching these to make it easier. Okay, so let's try again. So we go round twice, that's it. And then we want to go back down. Like I said, I always go just above, so there's a little bit like a strand of the material between where I've come up and where I go down. We just hold the thread in our left hand to keep it nice and tight as we go through. Pull, pull, pull to form the knot. Now if your French knots are close to each other, you can just then come up in the next hole and do the next French knot. But on this castle hanging decoration, the other French knot is right over here. So if I was to cross across there on the back, that would be too much thread travelling. So I will just thread my needle off, which I will show you how to do in a later video, or how I do it and other options. And then I will just come back to show you the French knot once more on this flag. Okay, so I have finished my thread off, so I can now do the French knot just on the other side. As this is further over, I will just fold my material like this to help me just roll it up to help me get to where I need to go. So it's going in the top of this flagpole. So we just need to come up in the hole there, like so. Wrap it around. Okay, French knots do take a little bit of practice, and like I said at the beginning, they're not my favourite thing because they are a little bit on the fiddly side. But when they're in, just hold that tight as you pull through. They do add just that little bit of extra detail to finish something off, finish your piece off nicely. Okay, like so. So that's the 2 French knots done. So that's the castle cross stitch complete. I'll pop links to the charts below for you in case you want to have a go at it, along with links to any of the other items that I have used in this video. And if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. In my next video, I will show you how to turn the castle cross stitch into the hanging decoration. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.